I don't think they will change because I don't think they have the capacity to, but they obviously should.
She said, congratulations on your career. And I said, congratulations on your career. And she said, well, it took a little turn.
Prince Harry has entered the chat. You dumb ginger. You leave your title because you don't like your 94-year-old grandma? That's the definition of something you wait out, gangsta.
Yeah, they were very worried about their safety, which I get that aspect of things after 6 episodes. I wanted to attack them.
I had no idea how racist they were. It's the royal family! They're the original racists!
John Oliver didn't just roast Meghan Markle, he predicted her entire royal disaster years before it happened. While everyone else was celebrating the fairy tale wedding, Oliver saw the nightmare coming. But this wasn't just comedy, it was prophecy. Before we continue, make sure to smash that like button if you don't want Harry and Meghan to tickle you aggressively while you're 2 hours into your sleep tonight. Oliver called exactly what would happen before Meghan even walked down the aisle. His prediction was so brutally accurate, it's almost scary. We'll get to what he said in a bit, but first you need to see how other comedians started realizing the same thing. The signs were everywhere if you knew where to look. Even people who had worked directly with Meghan could see how this royal marriage was going to play out. Billy Eichner had crossed paths with Meghan in their Northwestern days, and when they reconnected later, the conversation revealed everything about her new reality.
Meghan and I are having a very casual conversation about who our acting teachers were. And she said, congratulations on your career. And I said, congratulations on your career. And she said, well, it took a little turn.
That's not just casual small talk. That's Billy recognizing that Meghan's entire trajectory got supercharged the moment she started dating Harry. It took a little turn is his polite way of saying her career went from struggling actress to global celebrity overnight, not through talent, but through marriage. The comedy world wasn't fooled by the fairy tale narrative. They understood what this really was, a career move disguised as a love story.
If she didn't marry him, she would be on The Bachelor this season, fighting for Prince. She would be Megan M. from Sherman Oaks barista. She's just got lucky.
Nikki cut straight to the truth that everyone was thinking. Without Harry, Meghan would still be auditioning for bachelor spots and serving coffee between acting gigs. She didn't earn this platform. She married into it. But the biggest red flag was how she tried to rebrand this obvious power grab as some kind of feminist statement.
I said Meghan Markle is, of course, a lifelong feminist, which she's demonstrated by marrying a prince and giving up her job.
That contradiction was so glaring that comedians couldn't ignore it. You can't be a lifelong feminist icon while literally trading your independence for a title and a crown. The hypocrisy was written all over this story from day one. As the royal drama unfolded, more comedians started connecting the dots. They realized Meghan had walked into a situation that was never going to work for someone with her personality and expectations. John Mulaney didn't hold back when he saw Harry's decision to abandon everything for this relationship.
Prince Harry has entered the chat. You dumb ginger. You leave your title because you don't like your 94-year-old grandma? That's the definition of something you wait out, gangsta.
Mulaney nailed the absurdity perfectly. You don't blow up your entire life because your 94-year-old grandmother is strict. That's literally something you wait out. It's basic common sense that Harry completely ignored. The whole situation looked ridiculous to anyone watching from the outside. Meghan thought she was marrying into some glamorous lifestyle, but comedians could see what she was really getting into.
You know it's weird, right? That Meghan and Harry left? Like, what? You thought rolling with those dorks in church clothes was gonna be fun?
Rolling with those dorks in church clothes. That's exactly what the royal family is. They're not cool. They're not fun. They're just people in fancy outfits following centuries-old rules. How did Meghan not see this coming?
Queen of England was strict and not fun at all. So don't marry into the family with the most jive-ass boring people ever and then be like, oh, should we play Never Have I Ever?
The Queen being strict and not fun at all wasn't a bug in the system. It was the system. Meghan somehow expected to walk into the most traditional institution in the world and turn it into a fun, modern playground. But Chris Rock delivered the most savage reality check about Meghan's supposed shock at discovering racism in the royal family.
Gone on Oprah, I didn't know. I had no idea how racist they were. It's the royal family. You didn't Google these
That's the question everyone was thinking. How do you marry into the British royal family and act surprised when they have issues with race?
What the is she talking about? She didn't know. The fuck? It's the royal family. family! They're the original racists!
Chris Rock stated the obvious truth that apparently nobody told Meghan. The royal family built an empire on colonization and slavery. Acting shocked by their attitudes is like being surprised that water is wet. The comedians could see through all the victim narratives and fairy tale bullshit. They knew this disaster was inevitable from day one. And as we mentioned earlier, Oliver's prediction is something else entirely. We just couldn't believe how accurate he was about their entire situation. We'll get to what he said, but first you need to see how their royal exit became the comedy goldmine everyone expected. When Harry and Meghan finally left the royal family, they thought they were escaping their problems. Instead, they walked straight into a bigger disaster that made them look even more ridiculous. South Park captured their victim mentality perfectly with their parody of Harry's book tour.
So let me start with you, sir. You've lived a life with the royal family, you've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it in your new book, Wah.
That's literally what Harry's book sounded like to most people. Just endless whining about how hard his privileged life has been. The fact that South Park nailed his victim complex so accurately shows how transparent his act really was. But the most annoying part was their constant claim that they just wanted to be normal people while doing everything possible to stay in the spotlight.
We just want to be normal people. All this attention is so hard. Isn't it true, sir, that your questionable wife has her own TV show and hangs out with celebrities and does fashion magazines?
There it is. The core contradiction that drives everyone crazy. We just want to be normal people, while literally going on TV to complain about how famous they are. You can't have it both ways. South Park didn't stop there. They went straight for Meghan's obvious attention-seeking behavior.
What are you suggesting? Well, I just think some people might say that your Instagram-loving wife actually doesn't want her privacy. How dare you, sir? My Instagram-loving wife has always wanted her privacy!
Instagram-loving wife who doesn't want her privacy. That's the truth everyone could see, but Harry refused to acknowledge. Meghan was never trying to escape attention. She was trying to control it.
To hell with Canada! We are leaving! We'll go find some quiet place where we can be normal people! Come on, wife! We want privacy! We want privacy!
We want privacy while actively seeking publicity became their catchphrase. The hypocrisy was so obvious that even a cartoon could mock it effectively. Their documentary was supposed to generate sympathy, but it had the opposite effect on most viewers.
I watched the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary. Now, I'll be honest with you, before I watched it, I was not a fan of theirs. But now I've actually heard their side of the story, I hate them.
That's what happened to everyone who actually watched their Netflix series. People went in thinking they might feel sorry for them and came out completely annoyed by their entitlement and victim mentality. The worst part was their cringe couple behavior that made viewers want to throw things at their TV.
They started off and they're making interesting points about racism and misogyny. Then they start calling each other H&M, and I just thought, oh, off.
H and M, just hearing those nicknames made people physically uncomfortable. It wasn't cute or endearing, it was nauseating proof of how self-absorbed they'd become. The contradictions in their story became impossible to ignore. Even liberal comedians, who usually defend celebrities against media attacks, started calling out their bullshit. Bill Maher, who spent years defending controversial figures, finally had enough of their victim act.
They're ridiculous after that. They want it both ways. You know, you can't be, these people were so mean to us, poor us, and we don't want all this attention, and then let me write a book about how much we don't want attention.
Maher nailed the core problem that was driving everyone insane. You can't complain about media attention while literally writing books and doing documentaries about not wanting media attention. The logic doesn't work, but it got worse when you realized just how privileged their complaints really were.
You're complaining about your hard life, and you're so privileged. It's just so weird.
It's ridiculous. I totally agree.
When Bill Maher calls you ridiculous for complaining about privilege, you've officially lost the culture war. This is a guy who defends unpopular positions for a living, and even he couldn't stomach their entitlement. The most frustrating part was how they expected everyone to go along with their contradictory narrative.
And I will not bend the knee and just go along with the nonsense. That's what's so annoying about them. The most of all, they insist that you go along with their nonsense and their insanity and their fragility.
That's what made them so insufferable. They didn't just want sympathy, they wanted you to agree with their insanity. Anyone who pointed out their contradictions was labeled as mean or racist. Their money-making schemes exposed just how fake their "we want privacy" act really was.
I'm here to tell my truth,
and make a shit ton of money out of podcasting, as I don't have any discernible talent.
Shit ton of money out of podcasting because he has no discernible talent. That puppet show captured Harry's grift perfectly. He's monetizing his family drama because he literally has nothing else to offer. Even their choice of where to live revealed their hypocrisy.
In California, we're just a regular couple living close to Oprah and far from the paparazzi.
Woo.
But not too far.
Close to Oprah and far from the paparazzi, but not too far. That's their entire strategy in one sentence. They want to control their media exposure, not eliminate it. Comedians started pointing out the obvious truths that Harry seemed completely blind to.
Harry says, how do you explain to someone who's just started dating that they have to curtsy to your own grandmother?
How do you explain that you bow to your grandmother and that you will need to curtsy, especially to an American? Like, that's weird.
And I'm thinking, maybe just tell her that your grandmother is the queen.
Your grandmother is the freaking queen. How is this a difficult conversation? The fact that Harry thought explaining royal protocol was some impossible task shows how disconnected from reality he'd become. But the most brutal truth came at the end, when comedians started questioning whether their relationship was even real.
I don't know how to break this to you, H. But if you weren't in the royal family, M wouldn't be with you.
That's the savage reality check nobody wanted to say out loud. Would Meghan have given Harry a second look if he wasn't fifth in line to the throne? The evidence suggests probably not, but here's where it gets absolutely insane. John Oliver didn't just make random jokes about Meghan and Harry. He made a prediction that turned out to be devastatingly accurate. Years before the drama, before the Netflix documentary, before the royal exit, Oliver saw exactly what was going to happen. And finally, here's what he said that we've all been waiting for.
I don't think you need to have just seen the pilot episode of The Crown to get a basic sense of she might be marrying into a family that could cause her some emotional complications.
Holy shit. Oliver called it perfectly. He looked at the royal family and immediately knew that Meghan was walking into emotional complications that she wasn't prepared for. This wasn't comedy. This was prophecy. But Oliver didn't stop there. He went even deeper and described the royal family in a way that predicted everything that would happen.
They're an emotionally stunted group of fundamentally flawed people doing a very silly pseudo job. That's what she's marrying into. So I hope she likes it. It's going to be weird for her.
Emotionally stunted group of fundamentally flawed people doing a very silly pseudo job. That's not just a joke. That's a psychological profile of the entire royal institution. Oliver saw that this family would be toxic for someone like Meghan. A lot of people think that the fallout between Meghan, Harry, and the royal family is because of the royal family, and that would align well with what Oliver is saying here. That's probably why he hoped things would work out, but knew they wouldn't. But what do you guys think? Do you think it's Meghan's fault or the royal family's fault? A lot of comedians like Trevor Noah have previously sided with Meghan, saying that the royal family is actually pretty racist. Personally, I'm a huge fan of both Trevor and Oliver. I think these are two smart and intelligent gentlemen, and I trust their judgment. But at the same time, I think Meghan is no good either. She's manipulated situations for her benefit, played victim while living in luxury, and constantly contradicted herself. So she can't be trusted either. The accuracy of Oliver's prediction is still chilling though. He saw the disaster coming from miles away while everyone else was planning wedding parties. John Oliver's prediction stands as one of the most accurate celebrity forecasts in comedy history. While the world was caught up in royal wedding fever, Oliver saw the psychological mismatch that would doom this marriage from day one. This is the ultimate cautionary tale about ignoring obvious warnings. Comedians across the board could see this disaster coming, from Jimmy Carr exposing her contradictions to Chris Rock questioning her research skills. But Meghan walked into it anyway, either too naive or too ambitious to see the trap. She thought she could change centuries of royal tradition to fit her Hollywood lifestyle. Instead, she discovered that some institutions are bigger than individual desires. Oliver's description of the royal family as emotionally stunted and fundamentally flawed proved spot on. Meghan couldn't handle their dysfunction, and they couldn't handle her need for attention. Their story shows what happens when you ignore expert analysis because it doesn't fit your fantasy. Sometimes comedy is the most honest commentary we get about human behavior. Oliver's warning was a masterclass in reading human nature. He understood that putting someone like Meghan into that environment was like mixing oil and water. So here's the question: should we start taking comedians' predictions more seriously, or will celebrities keep walking into disasters everyone else can see coming? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below.